Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Millicent Walker.
Tonight, federal government swings into action to unravel source of unsafe petroleum products in circulation in the country. Anxiety mounts over killing of DPO by bandits who attacked Jibia local government area of Katsina state. Residents want government to suspend gold mining in the state. Nigerian army moves against suspected masterminds of insecurity in the southeast, kills 4 members of IPOB in Ihiala community in Anambra state. An International Court of Justice orders Uganda to pay DRC $325 million as reparations for invasion of Ekiti province over 2 decades ago. Plus other international news from our studio in London.
On business news tonight, Lagos State leads as Nigeria's foreign direct investment value rises by 39% to $23.30 billion in 2021, a latest report by the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission.
On sports news tonight, European champions Chelsea beat Saudi Arabia club side Al Hilal to advance to the FIFA Club World Cup final in Qatar.
And from the nation's capital, House of Representatives demands concrete actions towards ending ritual killings in the country, tells federal government to declare a state of emergency on the practice.
As Nigerians continue to contend with the effect of unsafe petroleum products in circulation in parts of the country, the federal government says it has commenced a major investigation to unravel the circumstances surrounding the issue. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Primaries Silva, said this during a media briefing after the Federal Executive Council meeting, but he refused to disclose the identities of the companies involved in the fuel importation. He gave the assurance that the government will also put into consideration Nigerians who have reported damaged vehicles as a result of the bad fuel. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Mozuke, reports.
The President presides over the council meeting attended physically by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, 6 ministers among other cabinet members. Although the Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Primaries Silva, told State House correspondents that during that briefing, the topical issue of over 1 million litres of contaminated petrol imported into the country was not discussed. He clarifies that investigations have begun in earnest.
I'm not in a position to disclose the identities of the companies, but there are some issues and we are actively tackling it. Methanol, nobody has before now checked for methanol in our fuel. It's not very usual, and this is the first time this is happening. And NNPC is very much up to the task, but we are actively handling it, and I want to assure you that the problem will be a thing of the past.
Complaints of damaged vehicle parts and long queues have equally emerged in major cities like Lagos and Abuja as a result of the flawed product in the last 24 hours, raising questions about punitive measures for those culpable.
I don't expect you to rush to any conclusions. You know, there will be a major investigation to unravel everything, and then let's really get to the bottom of it before we can come back and tell you what is going to happen to the culprits. We know that some people's vehicles must have also been damaged. That is also going to be taken into consideration in dealing with the situation.
Now, the adulteration of refined products and even crude oil is not novel. It happens in other climes. But what is most fundamental is dealing with any laxity on the part of inspectors of the product within the country to prevent a reoccurrence.
Also at the briefing, the Interior Minister discloses an approval by the Federal Executive Council granting Nigerian citizenship to 286 eligible foreign nationals.
The number of those who are granted Nigerian citizenship and naturalization through the collection of the applications is 208, while those who are granted Nigerian citizenship by registration are 78.
So far, under the Buhari administration, a total of 621 foreigners have been granted citizenship since 2017. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, Kaduna State is the latest to be hit by fuel scarcity amid efforts to recall the contaminated fuel already in circulation in parts of the country. Many filling stations monitored in the state capital have shut down services, causing long queues as buyers wait long hours to fill up their tanks at the few ones selling the product. Meanwhile, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, in the state is blaming government regulatory agencies for the problem, as they lament that many of their members have incurred huge losses from buying contaminated petrol.
I really don't know what the problem is. I just asked one of the attendants at the fuel station. He said it's panic buying. But most of the fuel stations have not been selling since yesterday.
Some of the loading facilities, especially in Lagos, Warri Aziz, Ogara Aziz, Cocoa Aziz, most of the product they actually brought in, some are contaminated with excess methanol on that particular product that make it did not meet the actual specific flashy point for motorists to consume. That is what is causing the part of scarcity.
We turn our attention to security now. The Nigerian army says troops have neutralized 4 persons allegedly linked to the indigenous people of Biafra and Eastern Security Network at Ihiala town in Anambra State. One of them identified as their leader, named Ejike. In a statement today, the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, he explained that the gunmen who were out enforcing the illegally imposed sit-at-home order fired sporadically in and around a filling station in Ihiala town. He said on receipt of a distress call, troops of the Nigerian army moved to the location where a firefight ensued and the troops killed their leader, Ejike, and 3 others. Items recovered from the gunmen include 1 motorcycle, 2 pump-action double-barrel guns, 12 live cartridges and substances suspected to be cannabis. According to Brigadier General Nwachukwu, 1 combat vehicle conveying troops was involved in an accident during the operation due to a technical fault, resulting in the death of an officer and a soldier. 2 other soldiers also sustained injuries and are currently responding to treatment at a military hospital. And elsewhere in the northwest, at least 7 people have been killed. This is by suspected terrorists who attacked 3 villages in Zango Kataf local government area of Kaduna State yesterday night. The latest attack comes about a week after 11 people were killed by suspected terrorists at Kumin Masara community, also in Zango Kataf local government. However, a local source said that the terrorists set houses ablaze while 1 resident of Zaman Dabo was burned to death and 6 others shot in Chibom and Sabon Kaura communities. The Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Arwan, told Channels Television that security operatives are still investigating the incident in order to ascertain the actual casualty figures. Meanwhile, the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria says it has lost over 10 of its members and about 99 cattle during attacks by suspected terrorists in Zango Kataf local government area between January to February 2022. Meanwhile, on the same Tuesday night, another attack was taking place in Katsina, where a divisional police officer and a soldier were killed in Jibia local government area by terrorists who invaded the town. Residents told Channels Television that the bandits attacked, shooting sporadically, an operation they say lasted for about 5 hours. They were, however, engaged in fierce gunfights by a joint team of security operatives. Meanwhile, some of the residents are calling for an end to gold mining activities in the state, which they say are fueling the attacks.
This is Matsiga, reputed as one of the most peaceful communities in Jibia local government area of Katsina state, despite Jibia being one of the frontline areas buffeted by the activities of bandits. According to residents, bandits in their numbers invaded the town but were engaged by a joint security team for hours. In the process, a divisional police officer and a soldier lost their lives, and another soldier was injured.
We lost our humble struggle and the very commitment DPO, DSP, ARNO. We have been very sadly, and we have been, this is a very bad situation. Even now, we have already lost total control about these bandits. We are totally confused. We didn't know where we're going. Because even the bandits come and attack our officers, even army and the police. So we masses, we didn't have any solution now.
With the upsurge of banditry in our communities, I hope authorities, particularly the state governor, Aminu Masari, including our lawmakers, will consider our plight in Magama and suspend this gold mining and processing activities, because it has not brought anything good to us. We pray Almighty Allah to grant eternal rest to our late committed and hardworking DPO.
Following the invasion of the town, the bandit also abducted the wife of a businessman, and sympathizers are seen visiting the family.
We were indeed in a difficult situation. They arrived at around 2 a.m. and operated for several hours till the morning prayers, stopping most of the faithfuls from fulfilling their religious obligations. They arrived at the town on J5 and other vehicles, from which the security operatives engaged them into a gun duel.
The latest attack comes just days after gunmen invaded Dadara village in the same local government area and killed 6 people, including the village head. Residents of this area are calling on authorities to stop the gold processing activities taking place in Jibia, which, according to them, attracts the bandits and put the communities at risk.
And from security to politics, the River State Governor Nyesom Wike is confident that the People's Democratic Party will again be united in Plateau State and retake power from the ruling All Progressives Congress. Governor Wike stated this after a closed-door meeting with the former governor of the state, Mr. John Jang, and the party's governorship candidate in the last election, Jeremiah Useni, both of whom have been at loggerheads over the party's leadership since 2019.
The People's Democratic Party in Plateau State has been in crisis since 2019, with the former governor, John Jang, leading on one side, and the former minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Jeremiah Useni, leading the other faction. To resolve the issues and reposition the party ahead of 2023, Governor Nyesom Wike of River State is in Jos, the Plateau State capital, with some PDP chieftains to broker peace between both leaders. He, however, makes the first stop at the Plateau State High Court in Jos to show solidarity with the former governor of the state, John Jang, who is standing trial over allegation of misappropriation of funds during his tenure. From the court, Governor Wike's entourage moves to the residence of the former FCT minister, who was the party's governorship candidate in the last election, where he called for sacrifice among the two political actors.
If the party is not united, no matter how bad APC is, there is no way we can win. But if the party is united, and that unity is between you and your brother Jang, whether we like it or not. And so, for me, personal sacrifices can be made.
Thereafter, a closed-door meeting is held at Useni's residence, where Governor Wike, after the session, expresses hope that the differences will be resolved and the PDP in Plateau repositioned.
I can tell you that it's wonderful that two of them have agreed. They will meet on their own and compare notes and share, and then we'll later meet. By the grace of God, I can tell you that PDP will bounce back in Plateau State.
The two PDP leaders in Plateau State also pledged to shift grounds.
We agreed to work together to ensure the unity of PDP on the Plateau and ensure the victory in 2023 elections.
The two of us have been friends. Myself and my colleague Jan, whenever we will cooperate with him to make sure that the problem is solved as quickly as possible.
Governor Wike also visited the home of the former governor, Jonah Jang, to consolidate his reconciliatory visit to Jos, as he hopes this will not be a journey in futility.
In part two, after the break, Senate amends Pension Reform Act, plus the call on the federal government to declare state of emergency on ritualists. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Federal government takes steps to unravel source of unsafe petroleum products in circulation nationwide, orders investigation. Anxiety mounts over killing of DPO by bandits who attacked GBR local government area of Katsina State. Residents demand suspension of gold mining in the state. Nigerian army kills 4 members of IPOB in Ihiala community in Anambra State. And International Court of Justice orders Uganda to pay DRC $325 million as reparations for invasion of Ruturi province over 2 decades ago. And the last may have not been heard on the outcome of the recent governorship primaries of the All Progressives Congress and People's Democratic Party in Ekiti State. One of the aspirants for the PDP ticket, Senator Biodun Olujimi, says a third force option cannot be ruled out if her political group reaches an agreement.
Everybody wants to grab everything and ask people to tag along. That cannot work. We're no longer children. And we've been in this business too for quite some time. My gender has affected, and beyond that, the fact that people take everybody for granted has also affected all of us. You can't take people for granted. This is a business we came into voluntarily. And when you are in it, people are supposed to build consensus, not to talk down on others. The third option, a third force, some of them are asking for us to pull out, and we are saying that cannot be done in a hurry because tempers are high. We need them to calm down to be able to talk, and then we can now mediate, and on Sunday we hold a big meeting where we'll announce to all of you where we're going.
At the APCN, Senator Payemi Bamidele wants the party to adopt a new arrangement to produce a generally acceptable candidate or get ready for legal action.
As far as we are concerned, 7 of us out of 8 aspirants in Ekiti. And as far as majority of APC members are concerned in Ekiti, as well as members of the general public, no primary election took place. Here there was a lot of shenanigans last week, Thursday, in the name of primary election, but indeed no primary election took place. And as far as we know, whatever name has been submitted to INEC as the name of the governorship candidate of APC in Ekiti State is a dummy name. Something will have to be done. Otherwise, you cannot stop people from going to court.
And now to the National Assembly, where the Senate is progressing in its goal of amending the Pension Reform Act 2014. The new amendment seeks to provide for a definite percentage which a retiree can withdraw from his or her retirement savings account. The sponsor of the bill, Senator Ali Wamako, says the amendment is intended to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerian pensioners. Our correspondent Linda Kibre reports.
The difficulties faced by pensioners in assessing retirement funds, as well as the administration of the pension system in Nigeria, is a matter for debate on the floor of the Senate during Wednesday's plenary session.
The Pension Reform Act.
A federal lawmaker, Senator Aliyu Wamako, is seeking to amend the Pension Reform Act 2014 to provide for a definite percentage which a retiree can withdraw from his retirement savings account. He believes retirees need quick access to their pension funds as well as a reasonable lump sum to make life easier.
It seeks to provide for succor to retirees in the delay and other difficulties they stumble upon in withdrawing their savings from a retiring savings account. These Nigerians who have retired from service after several years serving the nation have found it extremely difficult to be honest of their pension savings in this new arrangement. So unless the law is made categorically clear what they can withdraw from their savings, which we are proposing 70% in the amendment, they can definitely have some relief as retirees if this is done.
It's an amendment that legislators are overwhelmingly in support of.
Retirees have no other means of survival simply because their savings account is just simply accumulated with the pension commission, which determines what they want to give them as a lump sum. That lump sum will not last 6 months, it's gone. And then the amount of money that they give them monthly is too small for them to survive up.
Why do people save money when they are working and when they are active? You save for the rainy day. You save for the day you will not be very active. The day you wouldn't be very active is when you have left the public or the civil service. And at that time, all their savings that are there, you don't even have access to it. And you give me what you want to give to me, when you want to give to me.
The bill or the act provides that investments are going to be carried out by these, fund administrators. And at the end of the day, it will add up to what your benefit is going to be in the long run. Where are they doing the investment? What is the accrued interest or benefit to those investments? Most of these beneficiaries or pensioners don't have a clue.
The Senate sends the bill to its Committee on Establishment and Public Service for further legislative work and to report back in 4 weeks. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
And we have more stories from the National Assembly. Here's Terry Kumi joining us from Abuja studios. Hi, Terry.
Hello, Millicent. Staying with the legislature, this time the House of Representatives. Following the increasing rate of killings for ritual purposes in part of the country, the House of Representatives is calling for the declaration of a national emergency on the matter. The lawmakers are also calling for a campaign to change the negative narrative that accompanies such practice. For Deputy Minority Leader Toby Okechukwu, who moved the motion, some youths now believe that ritual killing is the surest route to wealth.
The House is worried that while youths in other climes are embracing science and technology as a way of maintaining peace with a dynamic world, some of our youths seem stuck in the mistaken belief that sacrificing human blood is the surest route to wealth, safety, and protection. The House is also alarmed by the moral decadence in our society, a trend that has promoted the get-rich-quick syndrome amongst our youths. The House is mindful of the role of the Nigerian movie industry in molding behavior patterns in our society vis-à-vis the mandate of the National Film and Video Censors Board as a clearinghouse for movies produced in our country. The House therefore resolves to declare a national emergency on ritual killings in Nigeria and call on national orientation agencies, parents, heads of schools, religious leaders and the media to undertake a campaign to change the negative narrative that is bedeviling our society.
Meanwhile, a bill to amend the Trade Dispute Act to prohibit medical practitioners in the employment of federal, state and local governments from embarking on strike has been rejected by the House of Representatives. Lawmakers say the bill would go against the Constitution and promotes forced labor. Meanwhile, a bill to provide for 7 years imprisonment for public officials who embark on medical tourism with government funds has scaled second reading in the House. The Deputy Speaker presides over Wednesday's plenary in the absence of the Speaker. Lawmakers debate a bill to amend the National Health Act of 2014, specifically Section 46, which prohibits public officers from seeking medical help abroad using government funds.
This is an act of the National Assembly, and I have the Gazette here. So I am not the one that made this law. I'm only trying to cure the defect in the act, because there is no punishment for flouting it.
What I think my colleagues should have done is we should look at the act itself, the amendment is making, and the amount, because it said 500 million.
Since an act is existing, what we are saying is that, is it possible to be to us to allow a lacuna? An act says something is wrong, but no punishment is preferred.
The bill, which proposes 7 years jail term or 500 million naira penalty, is adopted and scales second reading. In a related bill, a lawmaker proposes an amendment to the Trade Dispute Act to prevent medical practitioners in the employment of federal, state and local governments from embarking on strike, but he is cut short by a point of order citing violation of the Constitution.
I've lost so many of my loved ones through strike by medical doctors and all these things. And I feel that if we can checkmate them, we'll save lives in Nigeria.
What it means is that at all times, at all material times, they must be forced to work, whether the conditions are proper or they are not proper. I think it runs contrary to this very important constitutional provision, which is contained in Chapter 4 of this Constitution.
His point of order is sustained by the Deputy Speaker as the sponsor of the bill is eventually compelled to step it down.
Honorable Tigwe, I'm referring you to the oath of office that you took. You are now bringing your personal matters. But from the day you took that oath of office, you have sworn to Nigerians you will not allow your personal influence. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I'm stepping it down for now. Thank you. Yeah.
It is the opinion of the House that strike action is a legality and fundamental right of workers, which must not be taken away forcefully. Well, still ahead on the news at 10, federal government committees caution against creation of new agencies. Plus, Lagos State leads as Nigeria's foreign direct investment value rises by 39% to $23.3 billion in 2021 in latest report by the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. That's on Business News. Join us again. Away from the National Assembly, the committees on the implementation of the White Paper on the restructuring of ministries, departments and agencies to reduce the cost of governance have recommended a moratorium on the creation of new federal parastatals, agencies and commissions. The three subcommittees are chaired by former heads of service of the Federation, Alhaji Bukar Aji, Mrs. Ama Pepple and Mr. Oladakwa Folabi. They submitted their reports today to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa. According to the chairman of the Committee on Review of New Parastatals, Agencies and Commissions, Mrs. Pepple, the country has to work on reducing the cost of governance.
A major consideration for this assignment was imperative for the federal government to address the drivers of high cost of governance. It is therefore important that the following critical recommendations are given utmost consideration. placing a moratorium on the creation of new federal parastatals, agencies, and commissions. B, to direct the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission to adhere strictly to the act establishing it and henceforth desist from approving salaries. And C, strict adherence by political office holders to the terms of their engagement, especially in relation to the appointment of aides. As we approach another election year, we do appreciate the concerns of government in adopting and implementing the recommendation proffered. However, Nigeria faces a fierce urgency of yesterday in reducing the cost of governance to ensure that we improve the living standards of the populace and not use government as a source of avoidable wasteful spending. This is made more pertinent when we consider the fact that the year 2022 budget has a recurrent expenditure of 40.3%, that is 6.91 trillion, and a capital budget of 31.9%, 5.471 trillion, while the balance is made up of debt servicing and statutory allocations.
In other stories, it's good news for about 5.5 million people in dire need of humanitarian assistance in the northeast part of the country. This is because the United Nations office in Nigeria is hoping to raise $1.1 billion in 2022 to provide aid to the affected people. While launching the response plan in Abuja today, the humanitarian coordinator for Nigeria, Mr. Matthias Smiley, says this is aimed at saving lives and protecting the most vulnerable in the area. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, has more.
The Bay States, and we are, of course, grateful.
It's another year and another United Nations humanitarian response plan for northeast Nigeria. Yearly responses created to mitigate the devastating impact of the now 12-year conflict in northeast Nigeria.
Your Excellency, Minister.
The United Nations reached 70% of its 2021 target of $1 billion and reached 5 million people with aid in northeast Nigeria. For 2022, the plan is to raise $1.1 billion and reach 5.5 million people with aid in northeast Nigeria.
The United Nations and its partner Nigerian and international organizations are appealing for $1.1 billion to provide urgent support to 5.5 million people in need this year. Projections for food security for this year, 2022, indicate we have another challenging year ahead.
The humanitarian response for 2022 targets 5.5 million people who will be reached through 178 projects working with 79 partners. Major sectors the intervention targets include food security, $450.89 million, nutrition, $144.29 million, water, sanitation and hygiene, $101.54 million, and education, $83.17 million. The governors of Adamawa, Borno and Yobe states who joined virtually are grateful for the intervention, while the Humanitarian Affairs Minister calls for localized solutions to local problems.
We are focusing on local solutions to local problems. We applaud the Nigerian Humanitarian Fund for successfully allocating funds to national NGOs, and we encourage donors to increase their contributions to the fund to ensure flexible funding for rapid response to urgent needs.
While the United Nations applauds its staff and local collaborators for the impact that has been made in 2021, reaching 5 million people, there are still 8.4 million people who are still in dire need of help in the Northeast, and the $1.1 billion they hope to raise this year is supposed to meet 5.5 million of that population. From the UN House in Abuja, Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Business News is next with Ann Waudu.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Terry. Let's begin with Nigeria's foreign direct investment. It recorded $23.30 billion in 2021. Presenting the 2021 investment report in Abuja, the acting executive secretary of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, Mr. Emeka Afo, says it shows 39% increase from the value of investments back in 2020. According to that report, Lagos State recorded the highest value of investment with $8.7 billion, and Bayelsa State came second with $3.6 billion.
The top 5 states by value of investment in the investment announcements recorded in 2021 are Lagos State. Lagos State attracted $8.7 billion in terms of investment announcements, the led the pack for 2021. Bayelsa State came second with $3.6 billion. The Delta State was third with $2.9 billion. Akwa Ibom State, $2 billion. And Adamawa State, $1 billion US. The manufacturing sector had the highest number of projects announced, 20 in number, as well as the highest value. So not only did the manufacturing attract the highest number of projects, they also attracted the highest number of value, highest value in the amount of $10.5 billion US, which represented 45% of the investment announcement. Construction got 16%, electricity, gas, steam, and air conditioning supply 13%, information and communication 12%, mining and quarrying 9%. These made up the top 5 sectors for the year.
$224.29 million. That's the amount the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation says it has earned from crude oil export and gas proceeds in August 2021, against $191.26 million in July of the same year. A breakdown of the figures show the NNPC's monthly financial and operations report for the period indicates export of crude oil amounted to $7.77 million. As for gas and miscellaneous receipts, it stood at $65.26 million and $151.66 million. At the same time, total crude oil and gas export receipt for the same period in August 2020 to August 2021 stood at $1.84 billion. The National Insurance Commission has announced a partnership with International Specialist Development Agency, FSD Africa, to help launch a program aimed at boosting the development and adoption of digital solutions for Nigeria's insurance sector. The Chief Executive Officer of NICOM, Thomas Sunday, made this known today during the virtual launch of the program. He explains that the need to adopt technology as a key driver of change in the financial sector cannot be overemphasized, adding that innovation has led to immeasurable efficiency and gains. The program, known as BIMALAB Accelerator, is expected to be a replica of Kenya's BIMALAB 1 and 2 and global best practices, with a focus on local experience to provide Nigeria with the most competitive and attractive startup accelerator program. Meanwhile, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat and African Export-Import Bank have signed an agreement for the management of the AFCFTA Adjustment Fund. This agreement was signed in Cairo, Egypt, by Professor Benedict Orama, President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Afrexim Bank, and Wamikele Mene, who's the Secretary General of the Secretariat. The Adjustment Fund consists of the base fund, the general fund, and a credit fund, which is estimated at $10 billion over the next 5 to 10 years. The fund is also expected to support African countries and the private sector to effectively participate in the new trading environment established under the AFCFTA. After 2 consecutive days of losses, Nigeria's stock market bounced back by almost 0.25% today. Bank shares drove positive performance in midweek trading session. Will Ibong has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Equities made a quick but moderate rebound in today's session, recovering slightly from 2 days of losses. We saw massive gains from all key sectors. In particular, we're all over the big bounce in the banking stocks on the back of earnings, up by 1.68% and reversing the 0.17% loss registered yesterday. Now, the 56 billion naira gain added to the market value moved the all-share index up 0.21%. Over to the activity chart, there was a pickup in volume, leaving value and deals in the red zone. The three of Access Bank, Sovereign Trust Insurance, and NGX Group topped today's trade, contributing over 108 million units of shares to the total volume of transactions. Meanwhile, Alti Briscoe made its way up to the top gainers leaderboard, and Julie PLC led 13 other underperforming stocks at the close of the bell. Better performance in today's session with positive market sentiments. We could have the bears running scared. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Will Ibong. Back to you.
Thanks, Will. Well, that positive sentiment also spilled over to major global stock markets, and they were all lifted by strong earnings report released today. Let's take a look at the closing numbers for Wednesday. And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Millicent.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. And judges at the International Court of Justice have ruled that Uganda must pay $325 million in reparations to the Democratic Republic of Congo for its role in conflicts in Congo's resource-rich Ituri province. Presiding Judge Joanne Donoghue says Uganda must pay the sum in 5-yearly installments of $65 million to start in September of this year. The total award is far short of the over $11 billion Congo had asked for. We'll hear Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The only member of the group that coordinated attacks across Paris in November 2015 to have been captured alive by police has told a court he never killed or wounded anyone. Salah Abdeslam is the main surviving suspect in the killings. He arrived in the middle of a long police convoy while roads were closed off for security. The trial, which began in September 2020 in a specially designed courtroom at Paris's historical Palace of Justice, is one of the most complex and most closely followed in modern French history. The attacks killed 130 and injured many more. It was the deadliest attack ever seen in peacetime France. 20 people in all are on trial in Paris over their suspected involvement. An Indian state has shut high schools and colleges after a row over the hijab that has gained international attention after Nobel Prize winner Malala Yousafzai weighed in. This video, which quickly went viral, shows a Muslim woman defiant in the face of a mob of young men shouting slogans. Hindu students here wearing red saffron shawls to protest against Muslim women wearing hijabs. The government of Karnataka state in southern India took the decision after protests by students over Muslim women wearing headscarves in the classroom escalated into violence. Ottawa police have said volatile and determined demonstrators remain in Canada's capital after nearly 2 weeks of a trucker-led anti-vaccine mandate protest. Ottawa is under a state of emergency after protesters blockaded the city centre with trucks and cars. Nearly 80 criminal investigations have been opened in relation to the protests, including for alleged hate crimes and property damage. Some 24 people have been arrested. A landslide triggered by heavy rains has killed at least 14 people in central Colombia. Another 35 people are now in hospital after several homes were engulfed in the Risaralda province on Tuesday. Other residents living close to a swollen river nearby have been moved to safety. Rescue teams have been searching in the mud for more survivors. Tunisian President Kais Saied is facing growing pressure from judges, the United Nations and world powers after accusations that he is moving towards authoritarian rule. Saied dissolved the Supreme Judicial Council on Sunday, months after sacking the government and seizing wide-reaching powers in the North African country, saying people wanted the country cleansed. Tunisia is often lauded as the only democracy to emerge from the 2011 Arab revolts. At least 29 people have been killed and entire neighborhoods have been flattened after cyclone Batsirai battered the southern coastline of Madagascar. Drone footage showed a trail of destruction along the coastline of Mananjeri, one of the worst affected towns in Madagascar. The cyclone left 91,000 people with damaged or destroyed homes. It is Madagascar's second destructive storm in 2 weeks after Cyclone Anna killed 55 people. Senegal has rewarded each member of the national football team with cash prizes and plots of land following their win at the Africa Cup of Nations. Outside the presidential palace, Macky Sall gave a speech thanking the team before appointing the players to Senegal's prestigious Order of the Lion. Each team member received more than $87,000. SpaceX has lost dozens of satellites after they were hit by a geomagnetic storm a day after launch, causing them to fall from orbit and burn up. Such solar storms are caused by powerful explosions on the sun's surface. The company owned by billionaire Elon Musk said up to 40 of 49 satellites from last week's launch were hit. They had been due to join its Starlink satellite internet project. And finally, a 99-year-old woman in Kenya has gone back to school to study alongside children more than 8 decades her junior. Priscilla Sitine said she had the idea when her granddaughter dropped out of school after getting pregnant.
The cup was broken.
She had hoped she would resume her studies, but when she refused, she decided to take her place instead. The elderly woman also enjoys other school activities, including physical education classes. Her teachers use her wide experience to keep the peace during lessons. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. And global brand in the thermal comfort industry, Ariston has confirmed a multi-year deal with multiple Italian league champions Juventus for the African region. This is the third step of a successful partnership between Ariston and Juventus that began in China and Indonesia last year.
Thermal, renewable and high-efficiency products firm Ariston Group extend its partnership with Italian Serie A football giants Juventus FC to Africa.
Welcoming speech, and I'm sure it has some amazing things to tell.
Ariston Group, through its leading brand Ariston, seals a long-term deal with Juventus FC in Africa after similar collaboration in China and Indonesia in 2021.
Juventus are champions. We're also champions. Champions have attitude. We have attitude. Champions also, survive through challenges and hard times. We have morphed out of most of the potential problems. We don't have any problems though, but we have improved in our operations in terms of expansion, creating more footprints. As you're aware, we have various locations in Africa alone. And what is important that we bring in comfort to every home in Africa.
Which one?
With this regional partnership tagged Challengers Deserve Champions, the two brands consolidate their ambitions of growth and development, assuring high performances.
We are not serving just producing. We are serving as an engine of creating values by offering quality. We have so much of test that goes, that our product goes through through our R&D department across the globe before we finally arrive at a product. And this gives us a confidence, and this gives us the brand promise that we give. So as a result of that, this has always been the factor that has been building the brand affinity and the acceptance before now. And we keep to this, and we promise to always serve more and offer more value.
On a project for 2,000 liters, which is going to be produced immediately and delivered directly to the customer.
The company says its commitment in Africa is paramount, with over thousands of distributors and partners, and a broad range of products including electric, gas, solar and water heaters and boilers.
And to some more sports news, here's Victor Matthias.
Indeed, Millicent, thank you and welcome to Sports News. The Tigers coach Otis Hewley has admitted that the absence of playmaker Ezinne Kalu will be tough on the team at the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament in Belgrade. Nigeria will begin her quest for the World Cup ticket against China on Thursday, February the 10th in Group B that also consists of France and Mali.
It's a tough loss, but we have some players that can do other things. We're just going to have to play a little different, and we'll see. You know, we're a little banged up and a little short-handed, but you know, we're still going to put 5 on the floor at a time and play as hard as we can.
And Heartland of Owerri and Gombe United this evening played a 1-1 draw in March Day 11 of the Nigeria Professional Football League clash at the Okigwe Township Stadium. The visitors got the opener on the 34th minute through Chidera Eze, but Jonathan Aluku leveled the score with 8 minutes left in regulation time. Heartland are 19th on the league table with 8 points from 11 matches, while Gombe United are 14th on the log with 13 points from the same number of matches. And Romelu Lukaku scored a much-needed goal as Chelsea beat Saudi Arabia's Al Hilal 1-0 to advance to the Club World Cup final against South American champions Palmeiras. Chelsea's club record signing had failed to score in 5 games before arriving in Abu Dhabi, and the Blues are looking for the 28-year-old to find his best form in the second half of the season. The Belgium international swept in from close range on 33 minutes after a defense lapse to send Chelsea through to the Saturday's final, the second in 3 years between English and Brazilian teams. Chelsea can join Manchester United and Liverpool as the third English side to win the Club World Cup. And West Ham United has fined Kurt Zuma the maximum amount possible for mistreating his pet cat, as the RSPCA charity said it had taken 2 animals belonging to the France defender into care. The 27-year-old, who played against Watford in the Premier League on Tuesday night, has been widely condemned after a video emerged of him dropping, kicking and slapping the animal. The fine could amount to around £250,000, with standard Premier League contracts allowing for a maximum fine of 2 weeks' wages. And that's a wrap on Sports News. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. Is back to Millicent with the wrap of the news at 10.
Thanks, Victor. And the main news again. Federal government today said it has commenced a major investigation to unravel the source of unsafe petroleum products in circulation nationwide. Also today, anxiety reached fever pitch over killing of DPO by bandits who attacked GBL local government area of Katsina State. Residents advised state government to suspend gold mining activities there, just as the Nigerian army announced killing of 4 members of IPOB in Anambra State. That's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Stay safe. Have a good night.